Hey, so in this video, this is kind of a lead off to a video I just did. I was replacing a light switch. This is something that I've known for a while. I just wanted to clarify. All my switches in my house and my previous two houses never had the light switches grounded. It is code. I'm going to ground my new switch. I have grounds in the box, and they're just lineman plier twisted together back here. But there was no ground connected to my switch. So this is a common thing. I want to say 2000s NEC is when it required you to ground your light switches. So even though they were running Romex back then and running grounds into your switch boxes, they weren't grounding the actual screw on the switch itself. But as of 2000, it's been code. It's required as far as I know. So 25 years now. And then I looked at some statistics. So I want to say, yeah, like 90% of US homes were built before the year 2000. So there's a good chance your switches aren't grounded, and you're often required to ground them if there's grounds in the box when you do work or replace it. Now, if you're in a really old house, older than the 70s, back when they didn't run ground wires to boxes and ran like two-prong outlets, pre-70s, you can sometimes get grandfathered in. But definitely where I live, it says I'm allowed to do this without a permit as a homeowner. I'm just replacing, but when I replace, it has to meet code. There's grounds in the box. I'm currently required to ground my new switch. So I'm going to ground my new switch, and then I'll go over a little more of the details of why you should ground it. And this is something to look out for in your home if it was built before year 2000. All right, so in my case, I'm replacing my switch, but if you were keeping your old switch, this would be the same process. You could either just push your old switch out of the way to get access to the grounds, but these grounds were just twisted together. The electrician just used lineman pliers. So I'm going to untwist the ends here to get them into my connectors easier and install my jumper wire. You can use a wire nut, a locking, or a push style connector. There are many. I have these ideal ones. They can take up to 4 conductors. So I'm going to hook this on here, and then I just have a spare piece of ground wire from a Romex cable, or you can buy ground wire online. If you didn't have spare cable to make your own, I'm going to connect this into my connector and then make a loop to ground my new switch. So let me get the 3 grounds connected here first. This connector hooked up to my 2 existing grounds, the Romex coming in and the Romex going out to my light. And then I installed into the 3rd slot my new piece of jumper wire that I'm going to wire to my switch. And I just need to create a clockwise loop. It's using my Klein stripper crimpers. There's a hole you can put it in and start bending your loop. You can do this by hand too. On 14 gauge wire, this isn't incredibly difficult to do, but I'm just going to create a little loop. There we go. And that loop will go onto my ground screw of my new switch. Again, my old switch had a ground screw. It was never grounded. Back when this house was wired, it was not code. This is common, as I've mentioned. All right, so let's go ahead and ground my new switch first. So I'm going to go again clockwise around my green screw on here. Pretty straightforward. Close the loop a little bit and tighten down my ground screw. And I used a Robertson square drive. Fits these screws better without stripping. And now my new light switch is grounded. So that would be the process. I'm going to go ahead and finish installing my light switch, but that'll be a separate video. But yeah, that's how you would go in and ground your switch for safety. Just to give you a little close-up, again, I had twisted rubber grounds in the back of my box. I connected all 3 grounds in this ideal connector, created a loop on my green screw, and tightened it down. And now my new switch is grounded. So again, this is a safety thing. So if your house was built before the 2000s, there's a chance that yours is not grounded. Now, do you have to go out and do it? No. But if you're doing work on it, you would be required by most localities to bring it up to code. Or if you just want to preemptively do this to make your house safer, right? So now if there's a short in your switch and there's a bunch of current running through your switch, the ground wire will take it from the body of the switch to the earth. Less chance of shock, things heating up, energizing this metal on the frame. Right now it's going to follow the path of least resistance to the earth. Safer. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful. Don't freak out if your switches aren't grounded in your pre-2000s built house. This is probably why. And this is how you would go about grounding them to make them safer. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Bye.